Sure.
Introduce yourself.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on a Sunday evening. I am happy to be here. I have about 16 plus years of HR experience, and that's been in various functions: diversity and inclusion, talent management, cultural competence, HR strategy, OD, learning and development, L&D operations. And I've worked at different levels. So I've worked at an enterprise level, which is more like global level, regional level, and country level. And that's been in various roles as well, as a consultant, as a subject matter expert, sometimes leading a team, and sometimes as an individual contributor as well. So the duration so far has been with my company, Neo7 Solutions, and Johnson & Johnson, Merck Pharma, Volkswagen, HSBC, IBM, and Inventive Health Clinical. I have worked primarily in India and the United States of America, and I have done short-term stints in Singapore, Dubai, and South Africa. And if COVID-19 didn't happen, I would actually be in Milan, Italy this year for a DNI assignment at a client's world headquarters for about a year or two. So I'm still waiting for next year when the travel starts. So for the past 7+ years, actually, I've been fortunate to be in strategic level roles to support the global C-suite leaders. And some of my diversity and inclusion projects were presented in the White House for 2 consecutive years, 2016 and 2017. I did my master's in human resource management from Rutgers University, USA, and I hold a bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Apart from this, I've been a global thought leader in diversity and inclusion, talent management, and cultural competence areas. I speak at worldwide platforms, including conferences, business schools, and colleges, mostly in India and USA. And one of the engagements I've been proud of so far is in 2018, I did the opening keynote at SHRM annual conference in New Jersey. I write a lot, so my articles are published in various magazines in India, Netherlands, US, Nepal, Thailand. So there's a lot of publications done by me within these areas of expertise. And I've also worked on a book called Cultural Agility alongside the distinguished professor and author, Professor Paula Caligari. I have been a member of the Harvard Business Review Advisory Council for about 3+ years now. And 3 years back, after J&J, I started my own company called Neo7 Solutions. So we are a premium HR and business consulting firm, and we have associations with global business consulting firms based in UK, Netherlands, India, South Africa, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. So we are a highly networked group of 50+ professionals spread across geographies, and the team has a wealth of experience under HR capabilities. So you name it, whether DNI or leadership development or cultural transformation, we do it all. And some of our global clients so far have been Tetra Pak, Johnson & Johnson, Dow Jones, Generali, Bain & Company, Chanel, Kellogg's, and the likes. So that's my brief introduction.
Thank you, ma'am. So, okay, so how do you want to proceed? Do we start with the questions, or you will
sure.
start with your,
You can start with the questions.
So,
Be prepared for long answers as well.
Of course. So my first question to you is, how should students make the most of their time in the B school and make the best use of current situation to build their skills? And how should they proceed, given this is a very unique situation we are facing? So how do you think the new aspirants and people who are already pursuing MBA, how do they proceed?
Sure. So one thing I've been definitely advising is this is a good time to touch base with people in your professional and personal network. People you may have worked with in jobs or internships from your school, college. It's a good time to rekindle those relationships and connections in a genuine way. So I've been hearing a lot of people actually setting up time and are speaking more on the phone as well, and setting up video calls with past colleagues and friends. I personally have a list of people that I have been sticking to catch up with them, and I'm making it a point to set up meetings every week and FaceTime with them. So some of these are my friends, colleagues, clients, professors, and some of them who I just met through LinkedIn, so over social media. That has been pending for a long time. So you have to make sure why you do these connections or why you stay in touch. Is you want to make sure that you're on top of people's mind when they hear about an opportunity and that they do refer you. So that's how I'm saying rekindle those relationships in a genuine way. There's another thing that you could do is you can update and improve your resume. So you need to have few various versions of your resume for different roles and different industries. And maybe just the summary part or the summary statement could be different. So look at the job listings and job descriptions and incorporate those keywords in your resume. And unlike resume, you can have only one LinkedIn profile. So definitely update and improve your LinkedIn profile, add those job listing words in that profile as well. You can have more information on LinkedIn. So compared to your resume, of course. So you can put more bullet points explaining your various experiences and skill set. One important thing while updating LinkedIn is to turn off the privacy settings that lets people know that you are making changes to your profile. So definitely do that before you start making changes to your profile. And even if some of you already have a job, it's never too early to start looking at job postings. You can look on LinkedIn, in newspapers, various online job portals, get a feeling for what companies are hiring and what are they looking for, what regions and areas are they hiring in. So make a list of those interesting roles that you come across. There is a tool called, if you want to write down, or I can later share these hashtags and tools that I'm naming right now, so the HR Club can share further. So there's a website called flexjobs.com, and it's fully remote and telecommuting opportunities. So you can try Upwork as well. While sitting in India, you actually get to do a lot of global projects. Most of them are based in the United States. So definitely try Upwork. You just have to update your profile there and then keep a tab of, and recruiters also reach out to you if your profile fits their requirement. You may come across some skill set in those job listings that these jobs are demanding and you don't have it. So this is actually the time to build and hone those skills. For example, Excel or Slack or Salesforce or even business writing. Many providers, I'm sure you guys already know, are offering webinars and free learning courses right now. So make the most of it, from learning, from LinkedIn Learning to Udemy to Khan Academy. There's so many more. Coursera. You guys would definitely know more than me, I guess, in this space. And even a couple of hours of online learning will give you a skill update that you can not just mention on your resume or LinkedIn, but actually speak about it in your interviews. So another thing I would suggest to check in with your college career center and know if there are any alumni on this session. I want them to know that no matter how long ago you graduated, many B schools and colleges are actually offering virtual services such as online interview prep and resume writing, job postings, LinkedIn profile reviews, job search seminars via Facebook, Zoom, and so many other platforms. So make the most of it, because these resources are actually being made available to the alumni. And just know that if you are in a bad situation right now, you are not alone in the process. Another thing would be think creatively when you're looking for jobs and what kind of job you might get. So all of us obviously don't know yet who all will be hiring. We're still waiting to see. So keep up with the news, see which companies are hiring right now and planning to hire in the coming months. LinkedIn in particular is asking people to use two hashtags. One is hashtag coronavirus hiring. The other is hashtag hiring now. Now, hashtag hiring now is also being used for Twitter. So companies are posting jobs during this time and for this time, actually, for people being affected with these hashtags. And I'll give you a couple of examples also. So in USA, Instacart is looking to hire about 300,000 contract workers in the next 3 months. In India, Amazon and BigBasket have been publishing so many roles within their fulfillment centers. And these are not just delivery boys or supply chain kind of roles. They're actually leadership roles also out there, and they're looking for people to join them at the earliest. So keep a track of that. And also look at alternatives to full-time work, part-time work, freelancing work, which may actually lead you to establish maybe your own business. So I know I am Rachi also supports entrepreneurship. And sometimes what happens is, even if you didn't want to be an entrepreneur, these foot in the door kind of roles actually lead you to full-time work. So even if you're not able to find the exact opportunity you want right now, try to consider other options and Those could be actually potential stepping stones. Another very important thing I would suggest is just don't look at MNCs. I mean, don't just look at multinational companies or big brands to work with. Look at startups also, small and mid-sized companies, especially from the sector you are interested in working. So for example, say some of you are interested in tech. On LinkedIn, use hashtags for job search, such as hashtag tech interns, hashtag tech jobs, and see what comes up. So broaden your search to include MNC, startups, small scale business, medium sized businesses, NGOs, government agencies, not for profits. Keep all of that in mind and follow those specific recruiters and potential employers on LinkedIn. So try to do a little bit every day to build that momentum. And specifically for your students, if there are any incoming students or currently first year students, I would say how do you make the most of your time in B School is focusing on networking. So meet new people, make good first impressions, always build positive relationships for long term. So don't just network with someone that focuses on finding a job for yourself or getting a job. You need to actually offer first. You need to give first. You have to be resourceful. And only then, once you're resourceful as well as approachable and help others, that's how your needs will be taken care of. So definitely do that. Take your team projects seriously. Team members always remember you. Make the most of the diversity in the program because the workplace is now global, and colleges and schools are such a safe environment to practice anything, literally, even your communication skills. And I would say definitely be involved and be a part of your school activities, those clubs that you have, volunteer at a conference. Even if you didn't have time to volunteer or organize, I would say definitely attend because that's a great place to network. And your extracurricular activities actually play a big part too in your job hunt and in your future long-term career. It's not just finding your first job out of IIM Ranchi. You need to think of it as a career and not just have that job mindset. So when you are an all-rounder, actually you're able to demonstrate your competencies necessary to thrive in a global workplace better. So multicultural, multi-generational workforce. So what are you bringing to the table compared to your peers? All of that matters. And this also builds your confidence and knowledge. So start early, I would say, and make the most of your time here. Definitely enjoy it. This is definitely not coming back. So make the most of your time in B School.
Very, very insightful for some. Yeah. So, okay. So that was very insightful. Can you hear me now?
Yes, of course.
Yes. So now that we know how to proceed, what should be the strategy for us, for the students who are searching for a job? What should be their strategy now, other than networking and hiring side? How they could for networking also, people, how should they proceed and talk to professionals? How they could go ahead with it?
Sure. So as all of the, I mean, I'm sure you guys also know, most of the industries and sectors have actually halted, but some industries are in demand because of the pandemic. So sectors such as healthcare and ed tech, consumer goods, they are still hiring because of the need. So just now, as I was giving examples about Amazon or Big Basket, what I would suggest should be your job search strategy is this: be flexible. So you may not land a full-time job immediately. There may be such situations for some of you, or maybe it has already happened to some of you. So be open to contract, freelance, and be open to internship opportunities. The online streaming workout business, that's booming right now. So whether fitness, supplements, medical research, public relations, marketing, all these industries are still hiring. So make sure you have your story crafted before you reach out to anyone. So think about your highlights for, I would say, for students, what have you achieved so far in and out of the classroom? Your leadership skills, your community engagement, your global experiences, all of that matter. And it is important to articulate your skills. So what do you bring to the table, as I was saying? And your story needs to be manifested on your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your broader social media platforms to authentically tell who you are. So that's how you need to craft your story and your skills, and take assessments to find your strengths. So don't look too broadly, also customize and play to your strengths. There's a tool, actually there's a company for assessments called Capfinity, and Capfinity is providing free assessments, so you can leverage that and think about at least 2 to 3 roles you want to get into. Then go to LinkedIn or Indeed or Monster and just start looking at those job descriptions for those roles. So for example, you want to be a, say, a social media analyst or get into data analytics. So look at least 10 to 12 job descriptions to see what are the core words, and what are being used, what are the skills these employers are looking for in particular for that role. Then incorporate those keywords in your profile and start also building those skills. It's not just about incorporating. So this is a great time to build the skills that you didn't have. And I would say definitely start with a wide list of industries, employers, job functions, and people you know before you actually get into the action mode. And were you asking, like, apart from LinkedIn, Arna, where else they should find or look for jobs? Was that your question?
Yes, ma'am. LinkedIn is a broader platform which everyone knows and they are searching for. But apart from that, what else they should look for? Means other than
Okay,
LinkedIn and going ahead with the job site, with few particular job sites where they could find
sure.
opportunities.
Sure. So initially, as I mentioned, flexijobs.com and Upwork, I'll tell you more uh, platforms and tools which actually have more contractual and gig work as well. So for students specifically, I want to say that your campus ecosystem, that's the closest network you have. So think about associations and affinity groups you're a part of. Where all can you reach out to share your stories and skills and stay connected to your career services. Find out from your professors, are there any other groups that you don't know of but they know of, and you should be a part of any of those networks. So can also connect with your alumni. They are a great resource. And if there are currently actually alumni on this call as well, and plus this would be useful for your first year and second year students. So professionals, for professionals it depends what level you are at, but there are so many executive search firms that you could approach apart from LinkedIn. And it's so important that you set up time to speak with somebody who's actually a decision maker in those executive search firms. So someone who's senior at that firm, and then they assign you to the right person for job search. So on top of my mind, I would say some of the names that come up immediately are Corn Ferry, Stanton Chase, Hydrogen Struggles, Michael Page, Chapman CG. So there are numerous executive search firms that you can reach out to. And you should also leverage the job portals such as Monster or Indeed or IamJobs.com. And one thing that really works is actually reaching out and letting people know in your network that you're looking for newer opportunities. And if they can refer you or recommend you to someone within their network or within their organization. So being clear in your ask is very important. So for example, look at the open jobs on that company website. Say your dream employer was Unilever, look what openings are there, and then you also have somebody from Unilever that is connected with you or knows of you, or you reaching out to a recruiter. You reach out to this person, contact person, with a brief introduction of yours. If they were to forward it, it needs to look like an elevator pitch and needs to make a good first impression. So they will refer you to those roles, and you need to go to them with the link for the job ID. Along with the job ID, you can also share the job description link that you saw on the website, and then briefly include the note of why you are best fit for that role or those roles. And again, what would you bring to the company? What's your value proposition? For gig and contractual work, there are so many portals that you can sign on, and these actually lead to regional and global assignments. So there's Board Infinity, Noble House Asia. Then again, I would emphasize Upwork, flexjobs.com, freelancer.com, EY, so Ernst& Young Gig Now, PwC, Talent Exchange. Then there's Tap Chief. For specifically for HR, there's gighr.com as well. So to sum up, apart from LinkedIn or leveraging your network, you definitely should leverage your university, career services, your family, friends, former employers, professors, associations, clubs, community resources, scholarship supporters, former classmates and alumni. All of that would help.
Sure, ma'am. So, going ahead. So, currently, the situation is such few roles which were popular, say in sales or marketing, the roles which were there. Now, those are completely going to change given the current situation. Social distancing will be more, and currently, the roles which were there, it won't be there now. So, which roles should now people should focus on more? As in, if we are going for HR, if someone is interested in sales, so which are the roles which should be of focus currently for the students, especially?
Sure. So it really depends on what are your strengths and then what are your areas of interest. So assessments would actually help you, and the complementary assessment that I was telling you from Capfinity, that actually based on how you answer lists down the areas, industries, as well as roles that you should be targeting. So you should definitely take that. I would send you a link, and not everything is changing, not everything can be done from home. So even organizations on their part are trying to see what are those roles that could be done remotely, what are those roles that need people on the floor, on the field for that matter. So roles specifically from HR angle, you want to know which are the roles, or you asking for the broader group that you have?
I'm asking for the broader
See,
group,
I
not specifically HR, but the broader group.
So I honestly, I don't think sales and marketing roles are going away. In fact, those are the roles people keep on hiring. In fact, I recently hired within Corona times. I've hired 2 interns, and I'm still a small company. Just started 3 years back. So not, I'm not understanding what angle are you asking, or what are the roles that you have heard our company is not looking for.
Mostly the roles where people has to go out, how the roles are changing,
Oh,
how people
okay,
should
all right,
skill
okay.
themselves according to those roles.
All right, now I get your point. So it's more based on remote work and what could be done remotely, and
Yes,
how the roles are changing even for sales and marketing to actually
exactly.
be done remotely. So in that case, a lot of things need to be done from an organization point. But then what you could do as an individual, if you were bidding for those roles, is why should people choose you over others? Is if you have actually built your virtual work muscle. So are you comfortable working across different time zones? Are you actually culturally agile? You know how to work across different cultures and different generations. So those are the things you would have to work. You'll have to make yourself comfortable right from the beginning. So if there were group discussions or interviews that were happening through video conferences and video calls, that is the place to actually showcase your competencies and skill sets. And this has been a challenge actually for quite a few businessmen also, that are so used to meeting people in person and then closing the lead and closing the deal. But I am a great example for this matter. I've been working remotely since 2014. 75% of the work I do, 75% of the work is actually done remotely. And majority of my clients are from North America and European markets. Currently it's done 100% remotely. But there is work coming, and these are the portals I told you to refer to. But definitely take the assessment before you know which roles you should bid for. That would help you with industry sector role function. And then these roles are all shaping up in a remote setup. So that's the future of work. And what you could do is definitely build your virtual work muscle. And there's a lot of things that go into building your virtual work muscle. The impressions that you make, not everybody is able to read your body language. So it's very important to actually turn your video on, so that at least see your face expressions, your hands, how you're dressed, how you're speaking, how you're building trust within those remote relationships and within that client meeting also. So using sense of humor, doing a lot of research based from the clients or the company's website, to, if you really know people, you should just pick up the phone, speak with them, set up some time, know more about their culture, and you bring those things when you're speaking into your conversations. And that actually makes you an attractive person to be hired, even to do remote sales and marketing, because people are utilizing social media a lot. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that
Okay.
helps a lot. Okay. So going back to the skills. So currently, what are the skill sets students must look for, and what are the skills they should build? Given the fact that everything is virtual, which are the area they should focus on more?
I would say definitely getting comfortable speaking with people remotely and then building those relationships. So trust is very important. Then again, depends on what kind of. So if you were to be hired, say in a company at a managerial level, and you were actually leading a team remotely. So are you providing psychological safety to your virtual team, to your remote team? So everybody's voice is being heard. And for that, you need to build on your inclusion skills. How inclusive are you? Then are you really very siloed? Do you have a siloed mindset? Or if you were actually in a team where your manager had a siloed mindset of micromanaging you, and asking you what are you doing every hour. So how can you build your skills to be more independent and actually have that trust and the voice and the courage to speak up, that what you deliver, the quality of the work matters, and your results driven, or you actually focus on the results more than time or hours. So all these are challenges. Plus work from home setup has not had correct policies or processes so far. So organizations are actually struggling to build those, and we learn more about what are the expected norms and how to behave and what tools to use in the team meetings. So being tech savvy is very important as well. So may familiarize yourself if with everything from Microsoft Teams to Skype to Zoom to Google Meet as we're using right now. These skills come in handy. And then if you were leading sessions, which you will, trust me, you'll have to lead presentations, you'll have to lead teams and all. So do you know how these tools operate in terms of using breakout rooms or in sessions, or how does it work when you have a panel and you actually have to think about working across time zones? So which meeting would you come up with? What time would you come up with? Which regions would this cater to? So I would say maybe pick up a book called Cultural Agility or Cultural Competence, kind of von Strompena's books that actually help you build your cultural competence and how to work on virtual teams. And there's another great book coming up, which is due to release in July. I'd send you the name of the book, but it definitely is about this virtual and remote teamwork. And there are so many great best practices and real life, like role model kind of stories, how leaders have learned this on the job. So you can make the most of that, apart from what I said earlier when you were looking at these JDs and finding out things that were actually needed for those roles and you didn't have them, and then you take courses to build those skills. So that you should definitely continue doing.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. So going with on the next question. So there are few people, some of us who are more interested in global careers. So at this time, international travel is not that frequent because of the pandemic situation. So in the current future, and how in the coming time, how people should give go for more international exposure, since every border people are going local currently. So how do we get an exposure for global market in
So
current time?
sure. That's true and untrue, actually. It's not that people are going local or preferring local resources only, because everybody is working remotely, even in those countries. And as I was telling you, if it wasn't COVID, I would be in Milan, Italy right now. But why I didn't relocate is, of course, travel is banned right now. But the team itself, everybody is working from home. So it doesn't matter where you are. And as I was saying, my personal story, that I've been working remotely for 6+ years now, and majority of the work I do, the team is entirely global and remote. My interns are actually working remotely right now, so 100% remote work. Majority of the assignments, again, why I did get global or enterprise level work, or why my clients are European and North American companies, I would say yes, fortunate enough, but that didn't happen overnight. It did take a lot of groundwork. So finding my niche, then building my credibility, my brand, and most importantly, networking. So building my relationship capital and maximizing my chances to be present at the right place at the right time, being on people's mind, like top of people's mind, for the right opportunities, that helped me. So I would say continue to build and expand your network, build your cultural agility for working across borders and across time zones, volunteer for assignments. So utilize also the platforms that I mentioned earlier, but you also need to be focused and persistent in finding these assignments within your company. And if you're looking outside, then you need to be flexible and open to contractual and freelance and gig work. So, for example, Unilever and Schneider Electric, they both have an internal talent exchange group kind of tool, a software called Gloat. So, if you're working in a company, then find out within your organization if they have an internal portal where you could actually enroll and volunteer on a global regional project. And please remember, this is in addition to your everyday work, your everyday job. So these assignments just don't happen overnight. You have to be persistent. And finally, in the new normal, as you may have heard from Twitter's CEO, that the person is saying that nobody in his company needs to come back to the office. Then we've all heard about TCS also. So TCS is planning 75% of its workforce should be working from home by 2025. So work from home and getting global and regional assignments in a remote setup, they would become a norm very soon in the near future. And that's why I'm saying building your virtual work muscle is very important. Getting comfortable, getting disciplined, that's of prime importance, because what happens in a work from home situation is the minute you get up, you start looking at your WhatsApp, emails, and you're looking at them until you sleep. So it is important that you actually stick to a time routine, and you are actually very disciplined, and you are respectful of others' time, but your time as well, because there is no how do I say, no boundary or no line between work and home when you're working in a remote setup. So what helps you balance is actually you being disciplined. Does that help?
Sure, ma'am. It helps. Okay, so the next question I'll go. Uh, so they say that you are your own brand. So what are the steps which we should take and fulfill these niche and make our own brand, especially for the students who are just coming in MBA and going in the career? How should they make their own brand?
Sure. So I would say definitely communication skills matter, and communicate and collaborate with diverse people actually to increase your awareness level. So most important things when you think about branding are exposure, experience, awareness, and curiosity. These will actually help you identify your niche, and you need to work on reflecting a strong personal brand as well as character, not just in person but also digitally. And especially if you're trying to build yourself a brand that's global, and that is what defines actually having a personal brand. So you need to show or reflect a strong personal brand and character, not just in person but also digitally. So build a strong social media presence. For the corporate world, I would say start with LinkedIn followed by Twitter. For LinkedIn, start with basics first. So have a professional photo, nothing fancy. A nice shirt always works well. Your profile headline should tell people what you're excited about. Your summary should describe what motivates you, what are you skilled at, and what next. So experience should also capture jobs you've held, even if they were part-time or voluntary kind of opportunities, and what you have accomplished at each of those jobs. So remember to include photos and videos from workplaces. Then were you a part of any school club or outside, then include those and describe what you did with each organization there. Start with following the global thought leaders and connecting with the global or with the top thought leaders in your area of interest. So be it finance, marketing, or HR, but who are the top thought leaders in your area of interest? Read their posts. Start with sharing your take on it. So in the comment section, start writing your comments, and slowly move from writing comments to actually writing posts, and then writing articles. Then slowly what happens is once you're used to this, you start to actually ask and see if you can be invited as a moderator or a panelist at any of the conferences or events, and then capture those session pics, those videos, and share it via posts on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Then see if you can contribute to any of the well-known or leading business magazines within your area of interest or function. Then another thing which is extremely important when we speak about branding is that you yourself need to be well read and up to date with the latest news and trends in your area of expertise. So only then actually you can aspire to be a thought leader in the space, and then rest all follows, being invited as a guest speaker at the events or conferences, your articles in top magazines, all of that follows. And remember that it's a journey. You need to work on building your brand literally every day. So start early. This is the right time you should start, because so many people while going to school actually don't even think about it, and they realize later, and they think that this is the space only meant for C-suite, or probably when you're a director and VP, then you have the credibility to write and people start listening to you. But then so many have failed actually, who are currently even C-suite, and I know quite a few CHROs also who struggle with writing. And when you read that, you can't believe that this is the same person. So everything takes a practice, and definitely start early. That will help you.
Yes, ma'am. So coming to the last question.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, what are you hearing about the hiring landscape right now? What are your thoughts about the current situation?
See, all of us, I mean, I've had so many people reach out to me who are senior leaders, mid-level students reaching out to me because their internships have been withdrawn or job offers have been withdrawn, or companies have come to these people saying, yeah, you had an offer, and however, these are tough times, so your joining is delayed, but we are not even sure if we can have that job then, maybe October, we don't even know, so start looking. So most of the industries and sectors have actually halted. But as I said, some industries are in demand because of the pandemic. And you know which industries are these. So there's healthcare, there's the supplement, which is saying online. Health and fitness business is also booming. Ed tech is booming. Consumer goods, we're still hiring. And if you use the hashtags that I told you, that would actually help you find jobs. So it's not that nobody is hiring, people are actually hiring. It's just that you need to know which ones. And once you start the search with those hashtags and actually doing smart search with a different combination of words, I have read, like I can list at least 50 companies that I know of are hiring globally. So, and it will continue. Actually, it will pick up now again by October or so. And next year will definitely be again back to normal.
Okay, sure, ma'am. So now over to you, Rachna.
Yeah, so we would like to open the Q&A session for now, and maybe CB and I will close the session with a few of our own questions.
Sure.
So over to the participants.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, I am a DM student, like non-HR. But
As in digital marketing?
No, like MBA student. So
Oh,
we have
MBA
MBA and
student.
MBA
I
HR.
heard DM, so PGDM is what
Yes,
you
ma'am,
meant.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, my basic question goes to this way: like, while we study OB and HR in our management, a lot of time it happens that HR is not my field or HR is not my domain. So that kind of line of thought continues. But what I've observed is when we go into the field, we are basically hired as management interns, and we have to deal with people or groups, and our first year OB concepts come into play. So how should we carry this line of thought that even though we are not studying HR in depth, but we are going to manage teams, we are going to review, we are going to do all of those things. So what kind of approach should we follow to be a good manager? Like as the time comes, to put the concept into practice, and what kind of skills should we or learning should we continue to have those things?
And you are a first year or a second year student?
A second year student, ma'am.
And I'm so glad you already realized the importance of HR and those skills.
Yes, ma'am.
So your question itself actually answers that, but then it's not just HR. I would say even for HR students on this call, it's so important when you say that you are a HR business partner. That's not just the title. You need to understand and be appreciative, and you need to be commercially astute. So all of you, when you're going through your first year, which is common for everyone, the courses are common, right? And then you
Yes,
take up niche, or unless you were a general management student, then it still remains that. So you get to choose your majors, I guess, only in second year.
Yes, ma'am.
I would say understand this. When we say diversity is important, it's important in every aspect. So even if you were a HR person, it's very important for you to understand finance, marketing. Similarly, if you were saying that you're not a non-HR person, but what is your background? Did you tell me what are you focusing on?
Ma'am, I am actually focusing on like, marketing and operations are my electives. But like I did my engineering, and right now from the MBA perspective, marketing and ops are my majors now.
So what you were asking is actually soft skills related question when you're talking about people management and leadership skills as well. I would say even when you're hanging out or making groups, you generally tend to hang out people who are similar to you, or then there is discrimination also on the campus. People are actually saying fashion industry se aaya hai koi, that's a diverse candidate, or if you were actually a top scorer within your law and whoever appeared. But then there are other open general management category people who've had to really work their lifetime to get to what percent they have. But then there's a discrimination happening. Oh, this law person has no grade. They don't even deserve to be here. Oh, this scheduled caste, this OBC, oh, all this reservation, oh my God. And you then don't hang out with these people. So what happens is, and it's unconscious biases, by the way, which are playing in. So you lose out on the opportunity to learn from them, to actually learn about businesses, of how does the fashion world work, or what could the law person bring to the table. So actually stop doing even project work with a similar kind of people unless it's mandated from your school. I don't know if that's the case. They are forming groups and you need to stick to those groups. Then I would say find opportunities to actually join these different clubs, or come up with a voluntary project to work with people from different backgrounds. And that's how you'd start becoming more appreciative of different functions also. So operations, marketing, finance, HR, you need to know it all if you really want to fast track your career, if you really want strategic roles in early career, and if you're really looking at climbing up the ladder. Your only IQ never works. You need a good combination of EQ, your people skills. It has to be a combination of so many things. And unless you start practicing it right from your most safe environment, your school, college, you're not getting there anytime soon. So stop also looking down upon what would HR do. Maybe they just do a L&D, or maybe some Rangoli competition. That is absolute BS. They do a lot more. They are the backbone of business. Hence, it is needed everywhere. So, and not just because I'm a HR person, by the way. I've seen so many YouTube and those web series. Everywhere HR is portrayed as if they are just a support or cost function, but they're actually a revenue driving function, and so are other functions. I would say definitely always be curious. Curiosity is so important, whatever your function. Every big leader, top leader you know of would tell you being curious is very important.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. That answers my question.
Sure. Sorry if it was a long answer.
No, not at all.
Hello, ma'am. This is Mebin here.
Hi, Mebin. That's a nice name, huh? Unique. I've never heard of that name before.
Ma'am, a Keralite name, ma'am. Ma'am, can you tell us about any particularly intriguing cases you must have worked upon in your role as an HR consultant?
But from what angle? Like every case is so different.
Yes, I mean,
something,
something which particularly caught your attention, which you enjoyed working on more than the others.
Interesting. Because when you ask these specific cases, there are biases within my mind also of what was the toughest to work on. and then how did I come around to that. But and since you will be actually posting this recording, I have to be diplomatic and then not share what I actually want to share. So if you stop recording, you start hearing the truth from me. What I enjoy working has definitely with all the different functions, diversity and inclusion attracted me the most. I started with one of the best within the global D&I workplace. So Johnson & Johnson has been the top 10 for so many years. And when I came on board, what I loved working on is they were still not at a global player within the D&I space. They were still focusing only on the CEO, which is Alex Gorsky, and his direct reports. And the reports they were producing were 40-page long reports. So coming right out of my master's from Rutgers, and Rutgers, by the way, is #1 program globally in HR for course design. So coming out of there, I knew that nobody in the world has time to read through those 40-page long reports, and definitely not the C-suite, for sure, or these business heads. And that's how it wasn't actually moving the needle within that area. So 3 things that I did for J&J at the world headquarter level, while some of them were not even my main projects, but with my engineering background, by the way, I must have introduced computer engineering background, so very easy to work on systems and Excel and writing macros and all of that. First thing I did was to leverage my network of professors from Rutgers, because these are very well-known guys. Their books is what we read in the HR world, and you see their shows coming up on CNN, MSNBC all the time. They're in the policy making and White House. So leveraging that network, only because I built that relationship with them, I brought that 40-page long report down to 3-page reports. So we could go until the worldwide chairs. Then it was no more Alex Gorsky and his direct reports. We could actually touch our regions. So that's how D&I went global. The second thing I did, because of this 3-page and this is another project which was again related to equal employment opportunity. So when I was talking about diversity, it's everything from people with disability to LGBT to gender to actually people with different backgrounds and experiences. That was very interesting project for me, because slowly that is the time when I said 2 of my projects were presented in White House in 2016 and 2017, 3 rather. So one was on gender, one was on people with disability, and one was related to LGBT. So those are the projects I've really enjoyed.
Thank you,
But
ma'am.
being curious again and actually challenging the status quo, that you don't just go by, okay, this is what is being done here in performance management. They're holding leaders accountable. But what's the point in a global company if you're holding only the CEO and his direct reports accountable? Actual work happens in the region and country level.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question. So, given the current scenario, and even if COVID had not happened, so we have mostly been talking about COVID till now. So, the boundaries between the different skill sets and the roles and the subjects that we study are dissolving very rapidly. So, with keeping that in mind, do you think that we need to have a basic to-do list in our daily lives so that we start preparing early and we are always ready for this change? Like, we go beyond the boundaries of HR or marketing or anything that our role offers us to do.
To-do list would be this, apart, as in most important is being curious, but then what you could practice is this. Whenever you come across a new term, you were reading an article, or maybe you were attending a session or conference, and if you didn't understand anything, there was anything specific, self-learning is extremely important. So you go back, don't just leave it at that. She spoke about something like executive presence, God knows what is that. And then you forget, you're back to your internships or your schoolwork. You go and research what is executive presence. Are there books existing on that topic? What does it really mean? So there are so many terms as HR you should think about in terms of commercial astuteness. And it goes much beyond your business acumen or your financial or mathematical skills. So what I mean by commercial astuteness, and it's important for everyone to build, not just for HR for that matter, is this: are you able to read a P&L, a profit and loss statement? When you read a balance sheet or an income statement, do you know your organization so well? And have you actually been on the field to see what does a salesperson do? Or what is your company's main business? How is the company actually making money? Is it through licenses? Is it through patents? what is it? Is it through the consumer products? You need to know this. And when you're reading these accounts, these P&L reports, you need to be able to derive those gaps and insights, which is actually where HR or any other person, any other function for that matter, could add value to the organization, could actually be a revenue generating function. So being curious, being actually tech savvy, being aware of what all is happening around you, and not just hanging out for whatever, even if you were, say, in a finance function and you stick to hanging out over your lunch, dinner, or you stick to just networking and building your network within only finance world, you're definitely not astute enough. You need to understand business organization as a whole. And that's what happens actually in B schools in India primarily. Majority of your class would come with no experience or very less experience, less than 3 years, because you are also looking for what market is hiring. They don't want to hire more senior resources. And that's where the gap is actually between campus to corporate, or between being just being reactive for now times to being proactive and future ready. If you had experience, you could actually make most of the strategic stuff being taught in your school, which the Indian mindset is you just ratta maro or number layout. So that is not what works ever. And nobody after you have your first job, nobody is even going to question you like, what was your grade? Or that all doesn't matter. These skills matter. So I would say start really hanging out with people who are not like you, who you probably don't even like. Build your network, and that's how you'll build your curiosity also, your awareness levels also, and you start reading and take any course. One of the recent sessions we had, Hari TN, the head HR of Big Basket, he was saying he went back to studying applied mechanics so he could teach his third year daughter. His daughter is in third year right now, actually doing sums with her. What does he have to do in his role as head HR? But he's still curious. So what was that Steve Jobs dialogue? Stay foolish, stay hungry, stay foolish. That was. Do and read some biographies, I would say, autobiographies. That would also help you shape your thinking. And nobody can be ever ready, by the way, Rachna. Otherwise, there would be no change. Change management won't be such a big business then.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Be flexible.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, ma'am. This is Ilya.
Hi, Ilya.
Thank you for the very insightful session. So, ma'am, my question was, you had spoken a lot about contract workers and gig workforce, for example. And given the situation right now, there will be, I think we are moving towards a time where we will be actually employing a lot of them. So, when we talk about employee engagement, how is it going to be different for them from the employee engagement programs that we have designed for our full-time workers?
That's what is actually happening right now. Organizations are trying to build that, and it's not just from employee engagement perspective. So if you have read about Josh Berzin's research, the big reset that has happened, and when we speak about virtual teams or remote work, it's not just employee engagement, it is also managing employee experience. So what is their psychological state, their well-being, their productivity, all of that needs to be taken care of. And it's not just the responsibility of HR, or more, I would say the onus is on the manager or the leader who's leading that team, as well as the team itself, your peers, to create that kind of space. So there are different things that you could do which works and which is actually being practiced right now in some of the companies. And I'll give you some examples also, so you get an idea of how you could turn into something that was done in person. And then how do you actually check that these things are working? So you can actually run these pulse surveys every time you're doing something. But what's important is the infra also provided behind the scenes, so one is this, providing these coaches and counselors for employee, not just health as in physical well-being, but mental wellness. Yeah. The other thing is this, as a team, do you have some ground rules that every day you say have an open house at 9 a.m. Whoever wants to join, just chat about the weather or how was the weekend or something is coming up, but it's not made mandatory. Or bring your own coffee, or some global workplace, bring your own drinks also works, of course. So they actually have a wine hour or a booze hour every Friday evening, and just people just sit with their wine glasses, chat, joke, because you're missing out on just going down the hall and tapping on somebody's arm saying, hey, well, how do I do this? You can actually practice this in the chat function. So there are different Outlook chats and whatnot, Microsoft Teams, where you do the same thing. Whatever you would do in person, you actually do it virtually also. So that's how you continue the momentum. But as an organization, first, there's a lot of things from IT infrastructure also, that does everybody have the same kind of bandwidth? Is everybody actually just made mandatory, or is being asked to put on their videos? So many people are not even comfortable doing that, to put on their videos or dress up and show up every time. So how many times are you required? All those ground rules matter. Also, the work process policies matter, a lot of IT threat, and then other HR issues that may not be valid to discuss in this place. But all of that needs to be taken care of. And so many organizations are struggling, but some of them are doing really well because they are focusing on how their team deals with it. And are you bombarding people with these virtual webinars? Don't do that. And don't, as HR, there was a funny series I saw that they come up with, aaj ye khelenge, kal wo khelenge. They're like, we have to do the household chores also, do office meetings also, and then participate in this fun games also. So don't make it mandatory. Keep it open, I would say.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hey, everybody participating in this call does understand Hindi, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay, so is there anyone else who has any question?
So if we don't have a question, I'll just wrap up with the last question.
Excuse me, I have one question.
Sure. Kirti, is it? Kirti
Yes.
or Aishwarya?
Ma'am, you can contact me. It's my full name, Kirti Aishwarya.
Nice.
Ma'am, I'm going to join PGP HRM in IIM Ranchi the coming year. So I would like to ask for the newcomers, what is your advice before entering into HRM stream? What we should learn, because we have much of time in our hand before joining into the school. So what you want, what do you suggest us for doing?
See, first thing you should do is definitely connect with your seniors and ask them which courses make the most sense, which electives make the most sense. When they came on campus, what was their experience? What did they struggle with, which they didn't prepare for or think of? So you learn from their experiences first. That's how you plan for your school. And the other things which I actually included when I was saying how you could make the most of your B school time. But are you asking me what do you do even before you join, because your joining is delayed?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to ask in that perspective.
So ask these seniors which courses would actually help you even before you come in. If you were to practice, are there any latest trends when recruiters come on the campus? What skills are they looking at? Are they saying there are these gaps? They do share it with placement team of what did they not find in the talent, or what is the campus to corporate gap? And you start looking at those courses. You start setting up or actually building a relationship even before you've come on the campus. So when these seniors of yours, they come to represent their company to do campus recruitment, you will easily, they'll also easily remember you. You'll at least get a shot at an interview. I know India system works differently in terms of placement, so I don't know what are the rules in IIM Ranchi, whether you're allowed to sit through multiple rounds or once you have an offer, it's all gone. But think about long term, I would say. Don't just think about the first job. So start there. Start connecting with your seniors. Start torturing them with what all you could do before you come to the program.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session indeed. Thank you.
Do we have any other question?
So how do you pronounce your name?
It's CB, ma'am. SIBI.
No. This one who was just about to ask a question. Manikanta.
Okay, ma'am. Like I thought I'll let CB ask. Ma'am, one question on the similar lines.
But tell
sorry,
me how you pronounce your name.
Manikanta, ma'am.
But what is, oh, that's your surname, T-O-R-A?
Toram, ma'am. Toram.
Toram,
Manikanta.
Toram,
Yeah,
okay.
yes. So, ma'am, there is a power cut here, so don't mind with the lighting.
Don't worry, you're still
yeah.
looking nice.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is on the similar lines for the juniors at least. So the people who are joining the regular MBA program, so when they come with this, they have the marketing, finance, ops, and consulting in their domain, but when it comes to HR, they think that it is out of their domain. But with respect to companies, or we having seen summer placements and all, so we know that companies actually look for a wholesome experience and a wholesome outlook. So how do they incorporate this, that same weightage to the OB and HR subjects that they have in the first year, and a similar orientation towards them? Like, it is not that I am in any way I'm going to major in some marketing or finance. I don't need to anyway focus on much on HR concepts or HR.
But this is very short-term thinking.
Huh.
You're not really thinking about it as your career. You're not thinking about what happens beyond IIM Ranchi's internship and IIM Ranchi's first job. What happens to you as an individual, as a leader? If you start looking at it from that angle, all these things change. So your perspective needs to change.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be my message actually to even the current ones, or even if it's never too late. There can always be a shift. But when you is the program people mad, or is the government mad, or who's mad to actually provide all these courses? If you were just going to do marketing or finance or sales, why are they not just letting you do a MBA totally focused on that? Because these skills matter. So nothing you study or no time that you invest in studying anything is ever a waste. These skills always come in handy. This knowledge always comes in handy. So you actually need to work on your perspective and thought, and get beyond the thinking of you just need to get those grades, or if this is your specialty, you rather bring good grades in this, or you focus only on this project work. You need to actually consciously start appreciating the various subjects you have, the people you have in your program, rather than stereotyping them.
Yes,
actually, that would really help all of you making that conscious change in your perspective, incoming or graduating.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. That's a direct answer to change our perspective or line of thought, because it is very much needed, at least in the route when people are joining college. That line of thought is very much needed. Thank you so much, ma'am. CB, you can proceed.
Unless there is another person who has a question, then CB takes a back seat again. Mute unmute हो रहा है तुम्हारा somehow. Okay, now it's unmute.
Ma'am, I'll just. So this is a different question compared to all of the other questions.
Sure.
So I see that Neo7 Solutions is more into HR consulting. So as an entrepreneur, how do you see this crisis time as a business opportunity to be leveraged?
Sure. So there are multiple things I'm doing. This is actually a great time for people who are not doing anything to think on their ideas and build on their ideas. And if their friends have lost jobs, or their friends have been asked that you work only part-time for half the salary, this is a great ideation kind of period. So, so I already have, I already had the Setli assignment. So I'm supporting the client remotely, but then I of course have more time on hand because it is no more in-person working, and the team itself is not very comfortable working remotely. There is not so much work on my plate. So I've actually initiated a new line of work, which has very good traction from schools, by the way. We've actually had great meetings with few of the top B schools who are looking at campus solutions in terms of pre-placement, as well as it's for both actually, summer internships and then full-time work. And as you guys must already be working, I'm sure IIM Ranchi also partners with some of the vendors for improving your interviewing skills or GD skills or case study based kind of questions or guesstimates and all of that. So the 2 interns I hired, I'm actually working on a book as well. And my partners and I, so the global partners and I, some of them are coming up with their books. So we are already preparing for webinars to launch and do the book marketing. And we have already set up business development meetings. So I'm utilizing all this. And that's why I was saying, even though it's COVID and all, I'm working 24/7. I'm actually more busy doing this. If rather like I would, if I were on a project in person somewhere, it would be a totally different scenario. So being an entrepreneur, whether you have a project or not, you already, always busy.
Yes, ma'am, that answers the question. So, Rachna and Arna, can we conclude the session?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do the final wrap up.
So, it was a pleasure hosting for you for the session, ma'am.
Thank
So it
you.
was really insightful, where you wanted students to come out of their comfort zones and be open to opportunities so that we can all come out stronger in this crisis time. So this was a need of an hour, even for second year students like us, who are entering the job market, and also the people who are just starting their MBA journey. So I'm sure everyone would have taken a lot of takeaways from this session. So we from Higher, we really thank you for taking out your time and interacting with us, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
And I really like the names of your clubs, by the way. Higher and
Thank you,
Summer
ma'am.
Fun.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Awesome.
before leaving, I would request everyone to just switch on their camera. I will take one screenshot.
Okay. Let me see
So
my
everyone can
camera
switch
as well.
on their cameras.